down, one of the best side effects of opening up your intuition is being in the flow. I'd like to talk to you about what that means. Uh, Discuss a little bit about how it helps the lows to not be so low and how you can really get into that flow. So, being in the flow intuitively, it is a beautiful thing. And the way that I explain it is we have highs and lows and highs and lows. And when you open up your intuition, you're opening up that internal guidance. You're opening up connections to perhaps hearing more or seeing more from your guides or from source or from your own higher self. As a result of that, you're getting little bits of information, sometimes even subliminally, like take a left or stop, or yeah, you should go talk to that person. As a result of having that intuitive flow happening, that intuitive channel open, these little adjustments that we make as a result of that leads us to have not so low lows. I have a great example, actually. And people say, well, if I open up intuitively, is everything just going to be great? No, you're still going to have the lows. I mean, opening up your intuitive channel doesn't necessarily guarantee that everything's going to be perfect from here on out. But what it will do is it will help you to not experience the lows so low. Now, some things in life, small disclaimer, some things in life are really difficult and very emotionally hard to walk through. Complete respect there. I'm talking about your day-to-day activities, the things where the GPS brings you the wrong way, or you're late for this, or something breaks down. And when you're open intuitively, when that intuitive flow is happening, when you're in that flow, that internal guidance that you get, the more awareness you have of that whisper, that internal whisper, the easier the outcome is going to be for everyday general lows. Now, here's my example. We are currently full-time RVing. We've been doing it for a year and a half. We've seen so much of the country. It's been absolutely wonderful. Now, in that year and a half, we've had almost nothing go wrong in our travels. It's been just smooth. It has been the phrase, everything always works out for me, at its epitome. Now, in our last travels, we had 2 trips very close to each other where something did happen and we had to handle it, but the lows weren't as low. So sometimes things absolutely do have to happen. Not all the time we understand why. Maybe we're driving down the road and all of a sudden there's rush hour and we go, oh, great, rush hour. Well, if there wasn't rush hour, you would have sped ahead and maybe you would have gotten in an accident. So the universe and source is working in your favor, trying to get you to where you need to be as safely as possible with the best outcome. And when you're tapped into that intuitive flow, you're tapped into that same outcome. You're tapped into that same approach. So the 2 things that happened to us on the road, I'll tell you about, and then I'll explain why the lows weren't so low, because intuitively we were listening to each other or listening to our intuition and things were flowing. The first thing was that we have a Ford truck. And it's a 2019 and it tows the RV. Now, just to give you some perspective, the RV is a larger RV. It's 42 feet long, it's 20,000 pounds. And I only say that because what happened to the truck was really scary. Turns out there's a thing that Ford trucks can do called the death wobble. It's a certain number, it's certain years and makes and model, but I guess ours fit into it and ours started to do that. What happens when your truck goes into a death wobble? Yes, it's that scary of a name. But what happens when your truck goes into a death wobble is you hit uneven, bump or pothole or something, and it sends it into a violent shake. And all you can do is really hold the steering wheel as solid as you can until the truck slows down and gets to about 45 miles an hour or less. That's when the shaking will stop. And moving forward, once that steering component has that issue, if you hit uneven bumps too hard, it will send it back into a death wobble. One side note here, if you will never experience that, that's the energy I'm going to put out there. I'll say it this way. When I looked it up and found out what the heck it was, they said, don't hit the brakes. That's the only thing you need to do is just don't hit the brakes, take your foot off the pedal and let it slow down. Okay, so this happened twice on one of our travels between one resort to another resort. We were hauling the RV. I do think that having the RV on the back, albeit sounds really scary, I kind of think it sort of stabilized us and helped us stay straight too. So that's a good thing. We land at the next spot. We need to travel, a little ways to get to the nearest Ford dealer because we were out in the middle of nowhere. And we found the Ford dealer. I called. It was a really nice gentleman, and I said, I've got this issue. And I, used the words, I've got the death wobble. And Ford is very good at getting that fixed really quickly. Currently, they've stepped into when this happens. They fix these very quickly. And he said, I need you to bring the truck in right away. We'll take care of it. And I was like, okay, well, we still need to get to you, so it's going to be another day. And he said, well, let me look in the computer for the part. He looks in the computer. He goes, okay, I don't have any of the parts in stock. Can I call you back? Absolutely. A little bit of time goes by. We get back in touch. And he said, it is the weirdest thing. You're never going to believe this. And I thought to myself, no, I'm going to believe it. He said, I don't know. The parts say 0 in the computer, but I went in the back and I literally have 2 of them. He said, these parts are so hard to come by right now. I was preparing to call you and tell you that it was going to be a really long wait until you could get the truck fixed. But lo and behold, there's just 2 of them sitting back there. And one of them now has your name on it. So come on in and we'll get it fixed up for you. So thank you very much. And that's exactly what we did. We went in, we got it fixed, and then we're back on the road. It took us back like a day, and that was it. Now, where's the intuition come in? I had my choice between a couple of different Ford dealers, and I followed the signs. I followed my gut. I opened one up and it just wasn't in my phone. I was looking at it and just didn't feel right. So I opened up another one. I was like, oh, this one feels really good for some reason. That's the one I called. That's the one that just so happened to have 2 of those extra parts in the back. And you didn't even know it. So everything always works out for me. Even though the low was there, even though we went through that and, we had to bring it in and we were behind a day, it wasn't as low as it could have been. Okay, we could have been stuck waiting for weeks for a part to come in, and it would have messed up all of our future plans. But instead, when you work with your intuition and you let it guide you, it'll guide you to the best outcome. That's how the lows aren't so low. Okay, here's the second one that happened on the trip. And again, I'm a little bit stunned because things always work out for us on the road. We've never had a flat, never had, anything go wrong. We've never been, it's always worked out so great. So here we are a couple days later and we're on the road again. And we decided we're going to pull over at a rest stop. And so about 3 miles before the rest stop, we passed a truck. We went into the left lane and we passed right by a semi truck, and then, gradually moved over when there was enough space. About another mile or 2 was the exit for the rest stop, and we pulled off and we pulled off, got into the rest stop. It was a different type of rest stop. Normally in the truck area, it's sort of, everyone parks right next to each other. And typically you end up pulling in between 2 trucks, but this one was different. The parking was on the side and then it was just field. So when you pull over and park, like parallel parking, there's no one on the side. So we pull over and we park, typical routine. We're going to get out. We're going to open up the RV. We're going to use the restroom, get a quick bite to eat, something like that. I get out of the truck and I shut the door and I turn around and look, and an awning had opened up off of the camper, just an awning, and it's like 6 feet out. The cloth from the awning had ripped off of it, and I just looked at it because we had no idea that the awning popped up. And it wasn't until later, so we did what we had to do. We took it off of the rig, got it into 3 pieces, put it into the back of the RV, and then we went on our way. And we'll obviously get a new awning. But we figured it out. There was no way that awning opened before we passed that semi truck 2-3 miles before the rest stop, which means the awning waited to open till we passed the truck. This could safely open and not hit anything. And we pulled into a rest stop that just happened to be, parallel parking on the side with a wide open field. No one's injured, no damage to be had anywhere. Not even to our own RV, because we were able to just unscrew it. Turns out these are motorized awnings, and so the motor had died and something must have clicked and released, and it just opened itself up. So the timing on that is really impeccable. It's really impeccable. It's kind of like, well, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the best way. And it was like, I do we stop at this rest stop or do we stop at the next one? And then you just listen to your gut. Okay, we're going to stop at the next one. That's the one where it opened up. If we would have stopped at the one before, the awning wouldn't have been open. We would have, done the whole rest stop thing, got back on the road, passed right on by that other one. The awning would have opened. We would have passed a semi truck on the left and it would have ripped the awning right off of the RV. So that is yet another example of how a low isn't so low when you allow that intuitive core, that center, to guide you. When something doesn't feel right, you need to listen to it. When something feels good, you need to listen to it. The first rest stop didn't feel quite right. The first Ford dealer didn't, feel quite right. Nothing wrong with that dealer, nothing wrong with that rest stop. It's just, okay, this feels right. This feels like it's falling into place. And that is something that happens as a result of honing your intuition, recognizing your energetic body on a daily basis, acknowledging your spiritual being, all of these things to say that there is that inner guidance there. That's what I love. That's one of my favorite side effects of intuition opening up. I think it's great to do readings. I think it's great to get intuitive information. I think it's great to sit down, maybe read cards, or scrying, or whatever it is, however you love to utilize your intuition. But in your day-to-day life, the value of having that intuitive channel open is really, really big. And those are just two examples of things that have happened to me since I've opened up intuitively, where I would look back and go, wow, that could have gone really bad. Like that could have gone really bad. And then it happens and I go, wow, that could not have worked out any better. I mean, that was perfect. So one reason, if you have any reason at all, to really start focusing in on your intuition and honing it and using it more on a daily basis is to open up and spark that internal guidance, that thing that gets you through the flow, through your days. Oh, take a right, I feel like taking a right. I should take a right. Take a left, I feel like to take a left. It'll help. Bottom line, lows are going to happen. We've got highs. Those are great. They get even higher when you raise your vibration, which is even more wonderful because you get to touch more love and more joy and more bliss. But the lows, no, they just don't have to be so low. When you get on board with your intuitive channel being open, with following that internal guidance, really kind of being a team member on your own team, things get a little bit easier. So if you need a reason to jump into honing your intuition, let that be the one.